When you launch the game for the first time, the opening screen will ask if you're a new player. Click the New Player button and you will enter into the game's tutorial, which will take you through some quick tools that show you how to play the game. The whole thing only takes about 10 minutes, and after the 5th duel you'll be given a choice to pick your starter deck. There's 4 factions to choose from, and you can either take one right away, or you can try any of them out in a practice duel before making your decision. After that's done, you can either create a new Uplay account to save your progress, or you can log in with an existing Uplay account if you already have one. Once you've finished up with the tutorial, you have the option of continuing the single player campaign, buying some packs from the shop, editing your deck, or diving right into the multiplayer duels. There's 4 main game modes in Duel of Champions. Classic Duel is a single ranked duel that pits you against an opponent of similar skill level. This is the bread and butter experience, and it's how you're going to earn the gold that you need to buy more card packs, and also the experience points that you need to level up to get your hands on those precious dragon seals. Next up, we have 2 main tournament modes, jackpot tournaments and Swiss tournaments. The tournaments alternate each day, so one day you'll have the jackpot tournament and the next day you'll have the Swiss tournament. The jackpot tournament is free to enter, and you can play as many duels as you want throughout the day. The goal is to try to work your way up the leaderboard, because when it's all over, the players at the top tiers of the leaderboard get a share of the jackpot. The higher your rank, the bigger the share. The Swiss tournament costs 1 tournament ticket to enter, and sees you matched up with 8 other players in 3 rounds of duels. Winning duels will earn you points, and the top 2 players at the end of the tournament win card packs. Even if you don't win, playing all 3 duels will put you in the running for a lucky prize pack, so it's worth sticking around. In this video I'm going to give you a quick tour of the battleground and how to play. The goal of the game is quite simple. Protect your hero and defeat your opponent's hero. Each hero starts with around 20 life points, and you must bring the enemy hero down to 0 life to win the duel. You generally do this by attacking them with your creatures, but you can only do that when there are no enemy creatures blocking the way. If there are, then both creatures will have to battle it out. It's a turn-based game, and at the start of your turn, you'll draw a card from your deck and you gain more resources. This is known as the supply phase. Once that's done, you then move into the action phase, where you can play cards from your hand, use your hero's ability, or you can move and attack with your creatures on the battleground. Cards that you can perform actions with are highlighted in green, and once there are no more actions you can take, you can just end your turn and pass it to your opponent. As mentioned, you get resources each turn, which you can spend to play cards from your hand. The resource cost is shown at the top left of each card. The other important thing to note here is that each card can have a might, a magic, or a destiny requirement in order to play it. For example, this creature has a might requirement of 2, but if you look at my current levels at the top, I only have a might level of 1 right now. This is where your hero comes in. You can use him to raise your might, your magic, or your destiny levels, but keep in mind that he can only take 1 action per turn, so you really need to look at your hand before deciding on the best upgrade to make. The cards in your hand come in 3 main types, which are creatures, spells, and fortunes. We'll take a look at creatures first, because they usually deal the most damage to your enemies. You can only deploy creatures onto your side of the battleground. Shooter creatures can be placed on any of the 4 positions on the back line, while melee creatures can only go onto the front line. Flyer creatures can go on either the front or the back lines, pretty much anywhere. Creature placement is vital to your strategy, because sometimes you'll want to threaten the enemy hero by placing one of your creatures on an empty row, whereas other times you'll need to place one of your creatures in front of an enemy creature to defend your own hero. At the bottom left of each creature card are 3 numbers. The top number is the attack stat, which is how much damage the creature is going to deal when it attacks. If there are no enemy creatures in the way, it will deal its attack damage directly to the enemy hero. If there is an enemy creature on the same row, that creature will take the attack damage instead. This is where the second and the third numbers come in. When a creature takes damage, it loses life, which is the bottom left stat. When it drops down to 0 life, the creature is dead and goes into the graveyard pile. However, if a creature doesn't die from an attack, it will deal its retaliation damage back to the attacking creature. This is the second number. Sometimes the retaliation can be enough to kill the attacker, so be careful with who you're attacking. The other 2 types of cards in your hand are spells and fortunes. Spells generally affect creatures on the battleground by dealing damage, healing them, buffing them, or even exotic effects like luring them over to your side of the battleground to fight for you. There are 6 schools of magic in total, and each one has its own unique flavor of spells to go with it. Are you going to burn your enemies with fire, paralyze them with water, or poison them with earth? As with creature cards, you must spend your resources to play spells from your hand, and you will also have to meet their magic requirements by leveling up your hero. Fortunes are similar to spells, but they tend to bend the rules of the game, with effects like searching through your library or your graveyard, discarding cards from your opponent's hand, gaining more resources, or drawing more cards from your library. Most fortunes will require you to level up your destiny stat in order to play them. The last type of card is the event card, and those can be seen at the bottom of the battleground. Both players bring 5 event cards to the duel, which are then shuffled together, and each turn the event card on the left is replaced with a new one. Events can give you extra cards, creature buffs, and more, but they often come at a cost, and sometimes they can help out your opponent as well. So that wraps up the battleground basics for Duel of Champions. I hope you've enjoyed watching the video, and keep your eyes out for more in the future. This is jpsmasher signing off. See you on the battleground.